you know that you're not a yes man. So the same reason you wouldn't defend me and my children against some random gook, you're going to stand that same ground for no reason because B2 added you a year after the video to tell you to check it out with him again. Interesting take, and it's 3 hours of my life that I put into that video, but that's not important to you. What about 5 hours of my life, Gino? Monty and Pharaoh attacked us. Remember this saga? This might be cheating.
Unfortunately, Monty and the Pharaoh are unable to make it to today's ceremony, but accepting their award, former co-host, Miss Daniela Petro. First, I would like to say thank you to TWFS for promoting me because I love to be promoted. Unfortunately, I was released from the Monty and the Pharaoh show. By accepting this award, I'm hoping Monty forgives me for being the pig that I was, and I want to again apologize to him. But if I cannot be accepted for my apology, I will just move on to wearing wigs and sucking pigs. Thank you.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's number one pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV. And day one of the new year, Abe, welcome to 2024, my friend.
It's good to see you again, man.
It's great to see you. And it's great to see our guest, the icon, and who, I'm going to say, one of my favorite people. Always good to the show, always good to me. Mr. Ahmed Johnson, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm good. How about as two men on podcast doing? The number one podcast.
Man, listen, you're always good to us, man. And like I said, I saw some stuff going on with you, and we'll get into that later. But you're such a good guy, and you always even since the first time. What did I meet you 2 years ago? We had first made contact, and you have always been such a respectful, dependable person. And not to sound weird, but it bothers me when I see things like on the internet that I saw recently, and that's what made me reach out to you, because I'm like, you know what, man, I just sometimes don't get it. But we'll discuss that as we go on. I got a few other questions for you. More importantly, how was 2023 for you? And how's your family in 2024?
So far, so good, man.
60 years old. You look better than ever. What are you doing?
Thank you. Juicing? No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. I'm not juicing. Just working out at the dojo every day, man. Every chance I get, I go into the dojo and work out with my coach.
Hey, listen, I got to be honest with you, man. I'm on the test, right? Because it's like my test levels were so low. I'm on it, and it's like a miracle for men. I feel like, in my mind, at least 19 years old. You know what I mean? I feel I got more energy.
I
know
you. Don't need to get on the test because I feel sluggish most of the time, man.
Really?
Yeah, but it's been better since I started losing all that weight. It's been a lot better, man. A lot better.
Now, are you still working full time? Are you kind of like half and halving it? Or are you fully retired at this point?
Well, no, I'm working how?
Like work? Are you working?
I still work with the oil company, man.
How many more years you got left?
Really, I can go right now. Nice. But it's just I got a good crew around me, man, and we just basically we got the lazy boy job. All we do is, get the tool stuff ready for the oil tankers to go out.
And you said you got into that once you retired from wrestling, right? You met somebody that was a fan
Yeah.
and they got you in there. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
And now, do you run the crew? Are you in charge?
Yeah, I run my own crew now.
So here's a question for you. You got your own team. You're a beast. We all know this. Very intimidating. How do you handle them without losing your temper and going full Ahmed Johnson on them?
Because you know what, man, they're just a good crew, man. It's just there's no need for it. Like you said before, some people might see me, meet me and see me as an asshole, and some people see me and they know that I'm genuine and a good person. But it depends on what you bring out of me.
You know what? It's a great point. I mean, again, through my dealings with you, I'll just keep reiterating this before we go into this, is you are a stand-up guy. Everybody I know that has dealt with you on a professional level have never had an issue with you. And
No.
I've never heard a fan say one bad thing about you. And again, like
No.
I said, you're very intimidating. You're a big guy. Got this deep growling voice. I could certainly understand people being scared of you. But, I mean, how does it feel to be, how do you say it, like, misrepresented by people? Does that bother you?
No, you know what? It does. I'm not going to lie. It does. But, it's only the wrestlers that's doing it. And it's mostly the black wrestlers that's doing it. Like the Nation and now Booker T threw his hat in the ring. And I think it's a lot of jealousy going on about me becoming the first black champion in history. Because, I mean, some guys been there 14 years working, man. And I came there first year, I become Intercontinental Champion.
Well, I was gonna talk about that later on, but since we're into it right now, I kind of agree with you, right? Even though we'll use Ron Simmons for example, he became WCW heavyweight champion, the first black champion. Right. To me, and I think to most others, it's clear that you're recognized as the difference maker. And why do you think that a black American, is it just jealousy? Like, I don't understand it. Why aren't they propping this up? This, the time you won that belt was huge. Even though it's scripted wrestling, we all get this. It was still huge for all the fans, and it was huge for black Americans. Why do they keep putting you down?
It's crabs in the barrel syndrome, man. It's you try to climb up and the crab pulls you down. And just like most of the guys, I don't know has ever helped another wrestler get in the business. And with the Nation, for instance, Farouk told me he was jealous, so that was cool. We got a cool on that one. But the rest of them, they didn't start that talking until I left. When I left, everybody started talking, started spreading rumors. I got beat up by D-Lo. I got this. Ahmed Johnson's a mean asshole, and so on and so forth. But nobody said that when I was there.
So when you go to these signings, I'm sure you see some of the guys. Does anyone come over and approach you and say anything?
I wish I almost said something bad, man. I wish they would. Nobody's approached me and said anything to me.
Not even a positive thing. No one comes over to say, hey, man, sorry about that. Nothing.
Nothing.
Wow.
Only person I've talked to the Nation is Karma. I talked to Karma Mustafa, and there was no bad blood, no nothing, just me and Karma talking,
So let's go back to the Booker T thing, and this is what prompted me to call you, right? Because I saw you on a show, and I guess that's where it started. I don't know if Booker T started it, or maybe you had said something that triggered Booker T. But I saw your last show that you were just on. I think it was on Hannibal's network. And I'm not being disrespectful here. What bothered me about it, I felt that it should have been more about you and not so much about Booker T, right? Because I felt like they were trying to get Booker T to somehow hook up with you on the same show, and I think we're missing the point here, in my opinion. You were good friends with his brother, correct?
Oh, we were like brothers, man. We were like, man, we'd have been in so many fights together, man, against people, and we were like brothers, man.
So what prompts Booker T to be angry with you?
Well, first of all, when he got out of prison, he didn't seem like he liked me from that point on. Once his brother told him who I was, and I guess told him, how we had each other's back no matter what. And I guess there's a little jealousy there to begin with.
Did you feel the jealousy when you were training together?
Yeah, you can kind of, feel it a little bit. One time we were in the gym, and he did something. I don't know what he did or I did or whatever, but he was talking mess. So I said, okay, I'll tell you what. When we get done with training, we'll take this outside and see what's up. But nothing ever became of it.
So let's fast forward. What triggered this internet problem between you two? What initiated the issue?
Brother, I'm trying to figure out myself. Except one time I told, said on a podcast that I sandbagged Booker T, whatever, but I was saying it in a way where I said I was out of shape. And I was, wasn't ready to get back in the ring. And I had to go against Booker T, who at the time was, on top of the game.
Mm.
And I went back to WCW, and I wasn't ready to go back to WCW. Only reason I went is because his brother asked me to come. But I wasn't in shape, man. I couldn't hardly breathe. I mean, that's when I had a weight on me.
I mean, you said that us on a previous show. You said you weren't ready to come back and that you were out of shape. You openly admitted to that. So
right, and his brother and me, if Steve Ray ever called me for anything, brother, I'm there. I'm there because he's always had my back, and I always will have his back. But I don't know what triggered it, man. That's one thing I can think of. That's one time I remember even missing his name. But he took it the wrong way. I didn't mean I was sandbagging. I mean I was out of shape sandbagging. I mean, I looked like a sandbag.
Well,
back then, so I lost all that weight, man. I mean, I had no business in the ring, period. And I'll be the first to admit that.
I just feel like at some point, like when your name is brought up in a lot of interviews, it does seem like it's the black wrestlers that really have that major issue with you. I mean, if you were talking to Booker T right now and you guys had a conversation, would you ask him, "Hey man, what's your problem? What did I ever do to you?"
Yeah, I would ask him what sparked it, because I don't really know what sparked it, except that one, comment, but he took the comment totally wrong. But that's one thing I think of that sparked it with that comment.
Well, let's fast forward now. Go ahead. What are you saying?
Outside of that, I don't think we ever said two words to each other.
Well, now, most recently, I guess you had mentioned about him being in jail, and then he started talking about he's going to get a lawyer now, right? Because I guess he does, right. What is that all about?
Well, you say you're going to sue me. So I don't know what's going on with that. I mean, I don't like dealing with lawyers, but when he made his lawyer, he made one for me too.
Mm. It's funny when people are triggered to get sued. I'm going to get sued, you know that? I had a former co-host on the show a little while back, and it just wasn't working out, but now she's threatening to sue the show.
Oh, you know how I feel then about lawsuits.
Yeah, well. And again, honestly, Ahmed, I don't understand why Booker T would be so angry about anything that you're saying anyway, right? The guy lives a blessed life. He works for the WWE. He has a podcast. He's making lots of money. I mean, it's like, if he's going to jab at someone, he should expect someone to jab back, don't you think?
But especially me. If you're not going to jab on me and me not jab back, I'm a warrior. If you come at me, brother, you better be ready for war. That's the way I was raised in the military. That's the way I am.
That's another troubled thing that bothers me too. You serve this country, and thank you for the service.
You're welcome.
I just don't understand. Again, I'm going to keep reiterating what a good guy you are. And look, we're older now, right? We don't know what tomorrow is bringing us. Even when you're younger, you don't know. But as we get older, the odds change a little bit, as you know. And personally, I want you to be remembered as a good guy and a great wrestler and great for the business who made the difference, who maybe had some issues, right? You openly admit you had some issues. You were young.
Right.
You kind of weren't being guided the right way. And I guess that's my problem with some of the shows, right? I don't want to – and again, if I'm out of line, tell me. I'm not trying to be. I don't want to see you being represented that way because that's not the guy I know. And as a fan, that's not the wrestler I know. And I feel like these podcasts have to do a better job of not trying to bait people into these situations.
Right.
And again, I'm not saying you have to agree with me. It's just the way I feel,
The difference between professional wrestling and, say, football or the military was I worked with a team. Everybody was for each other. Everybody was one team. In the military, you had to be one team in the military. You'd be left out on the island if you're not part of one team, or they'll get rid of you. So, I had my platoon together. And not only was I in the military, but I graduated most distinguished honor graduate, top of the class out of 2,000 soldiers. I graduated top of the class.
Do you think that maybe was your problem when you got into the wrestling business because
Yes.
I was in the military also. I understood the whole team concept, and this is a different world, right? Do you think that's why you had a problem adapting to this?
Well, you hit it right on the head. There was no team there, man. No team. And I had a big problem because I was used to guys coming together and, all of us have each other's back as one team. And in professional wrestling, every individual is trying to shoot you down for himself.
Do you think that the wrestlers who you've had problems with would benefit from speaking to you one-on-one and maybe understanding where you were coming from at that time?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think they would have if they came and talked to me. But, the thing about it is I didn't have any beef with anybody while I was there, except for Ron Simmons when he kicked me in my kidney. That was the only beef that I had the whole time I was there. But once I leave, I'm hearing about all these other people that say they had a problem with me or I was this, I was that. Brother, I was what Vince made me.
So when you leave the wrestling business, are you proud of what you accomplished at that point?
When I leave?
When you left, right? Were you proud of the accomplishments when you left? Were you like, hey, I did a pretty good job here?
I was very happy with the job I did, but I did want to fight for that world belt. And, that's the only thing that slipped through my fingers, you know what I'm saying?
So how do you feel personally? Because I'm thinking, and I'm just thinking as a fan, that all the negativity that was surrounding you back then and the way that the other wrestlers were probably talking about you behind your back, I'm assuming, you may not have a problem. How does that make you feel personally that they cost you an opportunity to represent the company as the world champion?
Well, brother, like I said, it's life. I mean, you got crabs in the barrel, like I said, and none of the crabs wanted me to be on top. They always trying to pull me down, but they couldn't because the fans didn't allow them to. Because when I come out, I get a pop no matter what. And with that intensity and that, well, what else can I say? Intensity and just that maniac, Ahmed Johnson. I think some of them took that as being for real. Because when I walked to the ring, I could see it in their eyes that some of them were scared.
Which I guess could make a little sense, right? I mean, you're a big guy, you're intimidating, you're green, openly admitted you're a bit green. Let me ask you that. Where did you officially train as a wrestler?
With Ivan Pusky. He had a school here in Houston, so I trained with him, Ivan Pusky.
How was Ivan as a trainer? Do you feel that you got the necessary training? I mean, obviously you got to the WWF and you became this huge star, but knowing what you know about wrestling now, did Putsky's school do a good job?
He basically taught us to shoot, man, and he wanted everything to be intense and everything to be hard, and I kept that lesson as I went on. Other people didn't; they did it their way, but I kept it the Pusky way.
And the Putsky way is shoot more than work.
Yeah, it was somewhat of a shoot. I mean, not to the point you hurt somebody, but just to the point where, they know you're in the ring with them. And he always told us, if somebody shoot on you, you make sure you give them a receipt.
So if you're being taught that way within the school, did you have any training sessions? I mean, you just spoke about the one with Booker that he thought you were being a little aggressive. Did you ever have any other situations like that when you were training with Putsky?
No, I didn't have any situations whatsoever. I mean, Ivan, was a great trainer. He loved me to death. I had no problem with him. Him and his son Scott, trained me. So I didn't have a problem with him at all. Nobody at school I have a problem with. Except that one time with Booker. And that was just a one-time thing. But nobody else I had a problem with. Nobody else had a problem with me. And it was a good school.
So refresh my memory. You get out of the military. What makes you decide to become a professional wrestler? Were you watching wrestling in the military or even when you were younger?
No, to be honest with you, Stevie Ray was the wrestling encyclopedia. I mean, he used to watch that Mid-South, the WCW. We went to some Mid-South matches, me and Stevie. And he was more into it than I was, but like I said, we were that tight. If he was going to do it, I was going to do it with him. So he wanted to do it, so I got in it, and I started doing it with him.
And what, you met Stevie on the streets? I mean, how did you know Stevie?
Basically, we met on the street. There were just these girls, girls at this club that we went to, me and Stevie used to go to all the time. They were trying to start something between me and Stevie. They would come and tell me, he said this, that, and the other. And then go tell Stevie I said something, and we came together as friends.
All right, so I'm trying to envision this, man, because this is a pretty cool story. So you meet Stevie. At that time, are both you hitting the weights and hitting the gas together, or is it like you just meet each other and then you guys start hitting the gas and hitting the weights?
No, we hit the weights together. That was our connection with each other. We hit the weight room. Worked out daily. Daily we worked out.
So you're working out, and then what? Stevie eventually tells you, "Hey, I love wrestling. Why don't you become a wrestler with me?"
Yeah, Ivan Pusky had advertised in the newspaper that he was opening up a school, and Stevie saw it, and Stevie said he's going to be going to the wrestling school, and he want to know that I want to go up there too with him. But that time Booker, was home, so they went up there first, I believe, him and Booker, to start training. Then I came because when they was up there, they had Scott Casey and Blanchard was helping Ivan train people. But when I went there was no Scott Casey, no Blanchard. So I just learned from Ivan and Scott.
So at that point, when I'm assuming the three of you were at the school at that point, does Booker go to jail at that point, or is he in jail before that?
Yeah, he's in jail before that.
All right, so
I think he did 10 years. I'm not sure.
So he's in jail, and that's where you meet Stevie, and then you guys make that connection,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
Booker comes home, yada, yada, yada.
Right. Steve, I think Booker was in there for 10 years, I believe. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but I'm not sure. That's what I heard. But, yeah, there was no Booker in the situation at all. It was just me and Stevie. And we were like brothers, man.
How's your relationship with Stevie now?
I haven't talked to him in a while. I need to call him and see what he feels about all this bullcrap going on.
So let me ask you this. You're in the WWE, Stevie and Booker in WCW, and, they're Harlem Heat, great tag team. Are you guys all communicating together at that point still, and you're patting each other on the back, or is there no communication?
There was no communication until I left WWF, and he called me, wanted me to come to WCW with him and tag with him and Vince Russo. They wanted me to come up to WCW, and I couldn't tell Stevie no, man. I mean, we done been through too much together, man. Too many wars together.
And at that point, was Booker okay with you coming to WCW?
No, I already heard the rumors from some of the boys. No, he was not. He was trying to talk Stevie out of bringing me up, and no, he didn't want me in WCW.
So it seems to me, I want to go back because I'm trying to understand where this whole problem stems from. It seems to me that Stevie was his brother, and he was jealous that you were very close to his brother. Would that be fair?
That's exactly. I agree. I agree on that. But I can have some other fellas on the show that'll tell you some of the indie guys that here in Houston, like Big Buddha and a few other ones, that he didn't even try to help them get into professional wrestling up in the big leagues. I brought a lot of them up to WWF to do little jobs and stuff like that. And like I told them, if you're good enough, Vince is going to keep you. If you're not, you're going to just be a jobber and be out there. But I brought them up, and they got a look.
So basically what you're telling me is that you've gone out of your way to help the common wrestler.
Yeah, I helped from the guys in the indies. And unlike Booker, I didn't pull them down. I lifted them up. And that's because, like I said, I'm used to this team concept where I got a team.
So, again, I'm not trying to have negativity there, but I'm getting the feeling that you have a feeling that Booker's not really the best type of person.
No, especially after he talked that trash on the iPod, his iPod, whatever it is.
Right.
But no, I'm not giving him a stamp of approval at all.
If you had the opportunity to speak to him on someone's show or maybe his show, what would you say to him?
Well, there's only one thing I would say to him. I mean, I'll tell him, first of all, I know you never liked me from day one, but what made you go on your show and start talking that trash? I just don't know why. I mean, he at least could have told the people why he was talking trash about me.
Does that hurt you, like on the human level, when you hear this type of stuff or someone stabs you in the back like that? Does that hurt?
You know what? It doesn't hurt me as an individual But I don't want my kids listening to this, but they're so mature now. Like my son Zachary and Marvin both work in law enforcement. And my other son works for the post office. My daughter has businesses, several businesses. And, I don't want them to know that junk.
Do they hear this stuff though? I mean, I'm assuming they do, right? Because you're a pretty famous
Yeah.
dad. And what do they say to
Yeah,
you?
they hear it.
And what do they say to you?
Huh?
What do they say to you?
They just basically hate the people that are talking trash. And my son asked me why was it most of the black people that was talking trash. And I told him, like I'm telling you, it was just jealousy, man. It's just jealousy.
If you had the opportunity to talk to these people one-on-one and you were able to make your point, do you think there would become a point where you guys, or at least you, could forgive them for the things they've said about you?
Oh yeah, the Bible tells you, you have to forgive and forget. Yeah, I would forgive them, but I mean, we would have to have a talk first. But yeah, I could forgive them.
Again, my point is, I want you to come out. I don't want your legacy to be marred by this nonsense. And I'm a nobody. I get it, but it's like when I look at you and I know the person you are, I don't want your legacy to be placed that way. I just think people need to get out of their own way. Let me ask you a question. When you became a wrestler, did you learn wrestling history?
Yeah, I went back and watched some old tapes that Stevie had, and started watching Mid-South. The Mid-South was really big then, and it was here in Houston with old Paul Bosch. And I started studying a little bit, what the wrestlers did and what they did. Then I started, I went and talked to Ernie Ladd, and Ernie Ladd was telling me some stories, man, that almost made me not even want to go to the professional wrestling.
Can you share one?
Yeah, well, just like Kamala, for instance. Kamala had a match, and he got like $5,000, and the person he wrestled with got $100,000. And they treated Kamala like that the whole time, like he was trash, and he wasn't doing that. Was the nicest man that you ever going to meet, and they took advantage of that and treated him real bad, man.
I know from speaking to people, Ernie Ladd was big on the black wrestler, making sure they protect themselves and represent themselves properly. Did Ernie Ladd ever give you any advice?
Basically, he just told me, to keep my nose clean. If I was involved in anything, get it out my life. And he told me, being a black guy going into professional wrestling at that time, it was like a white sport, because when I went up there, I think I was the only black guy there at WWF. And Ernie Ladd told me, handle it with grace. Don't let anybody push you around. And if they do, show them what you're worth.
What kind of advice now did Putski give you? Obviously, you trained with him. From what I understand, when Vince Jr. took over the WWF, Putski said, "I'm out of here." I don't know if that's true. That's what I've heard. Did Putski give you any advice?
He didn't really give us advice. He just showed us what to do in the ring and what not to do. And he told us, watch out for the marks, and stuff like that. He didn't really give us too much advice as to how the business is going to be once we got into business.
Now, how do you end up getting the call to the WWE? You're training, you work in the independents. Who makes the call and finds you this piece of gold, bringing it to the WWE during the Attitude Era?
Well, I was wrestling at the Sportatorium, and I had a match against the Freebirds. And this drunk guy came out in the middle. When I'm walking to the ring, he comes out the audience and punches me in the back, some drunk biker. And I turned around in front of Michael Hayes and everybody and just hit him so hard His hat went one way and he went the other way. That's how hard the punch was. And I've never been into a scuffle where I didn't knock the person out. And anyway, Michael Hayes, I got in the ring. Michael Hayes was laughing so hard, he's trying not to laugh, but he's laughing about me hitting this guy. And then we had our match. And when we got done, Michael Hayes said, "Hey, man, I'm going to get you in the WWF. He said, I'm going to get you up there." And, of course, I hear it all the time. So I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, But that's what you can do. You can do. If you can't, you can't. But he kept his word, man. And he did what he said he was going to do.
Now, I'm trying to understand that. You're working in a sportatorium, so what organization is that at the time, and what is Hayes doing there?
Sportatorium, what was it called? Was it called Global then?
So he was, working a spot show because he was in the WWE at that point also?
I think he was. I think he was. He was just doing a little spot show. And it was me and him. And the whole Freebirds was there. And, we had our little tussle back and forth. And he liked the way I worked. And then once I got to the WWF, I had my trials with Mike Rotonda. And he was very, very thrilled about the way I worked. For a big man, because I could dive over the ropes. I could do everything a little man could do.
Yeah, boy, you could wrestle. So it's great that you brought this up so everybody knows about the legendary Sportatorium. In December, early December, The Claw came out, and it's doing pretty good about the Von Erichs. Did you know anything about the Von Erichs while you were wrestling? Did you hear any stories? Did you get to meet any of the did you get to meet Kevin?
Yeah, I met David at a match one time.
Did you really?
I think his name was David. Yeah, I met him at a match one time, and they seemed like good, cool people, man. Real good people. The only bad spot I had, to tell you something funny, was what's his name? Was it Greg Valentine's dad? His name was Johnny Valentine, wasn't it?
That's correct. Yes.
This old man he had one leg at the time. And I got down with my match. And I came to the back locker room, and he had watched my match for me. And he told me, "Come here, son, come here." He said, "Sit down here between my legs." I'm like, "What?" He said, "Sit down between my legs." So I sat down there, and he took his hand. He said, "When you punch somebody in the chest with your open hand, you do it like this." He hit me so hard, I swear to God, my heart stopped for a minute. He had the biggest, roughest hand, and he hit me so hard, my heart just stopped for a quick second.
Wow. Again, tough guy. Is there any wrestler that Ahmed Johnson was scared of in real life?
Scared of?
Yeah.
No. Not one.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. So, we all know the trials and tribulations of Sunny. She's officially going to jail or be in jail for a very long time. I know you've had some pointed comments about her in the past. Have you given any thought to her since? I mean, I'm sure you heard the news. What were your thoughts?
I don't think they gave her enough time.
Why is
you killed
that?
Somebody. I mean, that was somebody's father you killed. And I don't think they gave her enough time.
I mean, she really won't have much left over, right?
Huh?
When she gets out, she'll be like 68 or 70 or something like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you've been pulled over and arrested several times for the same thing, driving and drinking. Jesus Christ, I didn't know she looked like that.
No, it's.
But yeah, I mean, but it just I think they didn't give enough time to me. I'd be very upset if I was my relative and they gave her only 17 years.
What are you thinking about today's wrestling? Do you still watch wrestling? I know you're a busy man.
I peek at it every now and then. What I don't like about today's wrestling is they don't bring in jobbers no more, man. And these independent guys, you know, they need to bring in jobbers because that's where they found most of the talent at. And the independent guys aren't getting to, you know, show their stuff anymore because they don't bring in jobbers. Every match seems like it could be a main event match.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Somebody took over and had the bright idea not to bring in jobbers or whatever. But the jobbers is what got us over. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for the jobbers, I wouldn't have got over like I did. And a lot of other people wouldn't have got over like they did.
So when you used to have those squash matches, did you go to the locker room and thank those guys for the effort they put forward during your match?
Oh, I thanked them before and after. And I told them, you know, I would take care of them. I never hurt one jobber. Never hurt one jobber. Now, Vader, that's a different story. Vader used to eat them jobbers up, man. I mean, I seen Vader beat the crap out of jobbers. And I never understood why he did that.
Did you ever ask?
No, I never been asking why he, you know, squat the jobbers. I mean, Vader was pretty tight.
So let's bring it back. You know, we know we've had problems with D'Lo. You've had problems with now Booker. If you could turn back time, is there something you think you could have done different to change the opinions of some of your coworkers at that point?
Well, I really don't want to change their opinions. I don't care what they think about me. But what I would have done if I could go back in time, change time, I would ask Vince to let me go into the school first before I did my debut. Let me go into school and learn a few more things, you know, so I wouldn't be so green when I got out there. But like Al Snow helped train me a little bit. Al Snow showed me some moves in one day, man, a bunch of moves that I hadn't learned in a year. And Al Snow would have been a good trainer, man.
Mm. All right. Well, last question for you, my friend. I'm going to let you go. If you could change anything, well, let me change that, Ahmad. What is the most important thing that you did in your professional wrestling life that you could hold to yourself close, that you thought was so important?
My fans knew I loved them and talked to them. Even now, when they hit me up on Facebook, I hit them back up and we talk, and you know, like we're family. I talk to my fans. I'm not one of the guys that, you know, think I'm so high and mighty till you can hit me on Facebook and I don't hit you back. I talk to my fans on Facebook and everything else. Like a lot of them are upset about this situation, but I love my fans, man. I really do.
And how about your personal life? What are you most happy about your personal life?
What I'm most happy about?
Yeah.
Becoming the first Black Intercontinental Champion.
It's certainly something to be proud about, man. I mean, no one could ever take that away from you, and you deserve it.
Yeah.
Now, more importantly, you're a Cowboys fan, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
How you feeling right now?
You know what? I love Dak Prescott. I love him to death. But I don't think he has that X factor that's going to get them to the Super Bowl. He just doesn't have it. And he's a good quarterback, but he just doesn't have the X factor.
So what do you think? Ousted in the second round?
Do what now?
Are they going to get ousted in the second round, or are they going to make it to the NFC Championship game?
No, I don't think they're going to make the NFC Championship game.
Wow. You know, last time you on, Farrow was here, and he was saying, he was all bragging about Aaron Rodgers, and I was looking at the video, and you had said that you thought they might make the playoffs. So I think you might know what you're talking about, because what a terrible season we had over here, huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And the thing I liked about when I won, going back a minute, when I won the Intercontinental Championship, it was in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I didn't see one black person in the audience. But when I won that belt, they stood up on their feet and gave me a standing ovation and cheered. And that really touched me, man. That really, really did touch me.
Well, let's touch on that. Were you touched because of the fans, or you were touched because it was a white audience?
I was touched because I went in there with the attitude that it's a white audience. They're not going to take to me, too well. And they showed me the complete opposite of what I was thinking. So they changed my mind about a lot of stuff, man. A lot of stuff.
Now, why did you go into that thinking like that, though? You knew you were over. The fans loved you.
Yeah, we had never wrestled in Green Bay, Wisconsin before. And I had heard, it was, basically lily white people out there. And I didn't think that they were going to, take to a black wrestler, beating a white wrestler for the belt. But God, when they stood up and gave me a standing ovation, man, you don't always had tears in my eyes.
Well, to be fair, though, Ahmad, it was a gold wrestler, so, it's not necessarily official.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you again for coming on under such short notice. I think you know what you mean to me, and you know what you mean to this show,
yes, sir.
And what a good man you are. And
thank you.
I think the fans understand what a good man you are, and I'm hoping that some of the stuff settles down. But let me make it clear: I am in Tony Norris's corner and Ahmed Johnson's corner, regardless. Doesn't matter.
Thank you. Where's your partner at?
So, interesting question. Partner moved to Florida.
Oh, did he?
Did he? Yep. I'm not allowed to tell the story anymore. He called me. I can't tell the story anymore. But anyway, he met somebody off the show, and he moved to Florida. And we're trying to get him on the internet. He's trying to get him back on. He's trying to still get settled down there. He's been down there for about 6 months. I know he's a huge fan of yours, and he loves you, and he asked me to say hello to you and that he misses you. So Pharaoh misses you immensely.
Tell him hello back.
You got it, brother. Mr. Ahmed Johnson, I want to thank you again for joining Monty and the Pharaoh. Thank you for taking the time. And like I said, we're in your corner. God bless, sir.
Thank you, brother. Always a pleasure doing business with you, man, because, you ask questions that others don't ask.
Well, we try. We try.
Thank you. Thank you for being you, man.
Well, thank you for being you. Thanks again, sir.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Ahmed Johnson. I friggin' love Tony Norris, Ahmed Johnson as a person. And again, I don't think he deserves the heat that he gets all the time. I don't know if anyone disagrees or agrees with me, but it's a point. I think there's a point in his life and everybody's life they got to stop trashing each other, because I don't think he's getting his just due. It would be nice to see him recognized more by the WWE, and it would be nice that he could actually go to arenas and, get some of the flowers I think he deserves. This is my opinion, and I'm pretty steadfast by it. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. The 30's on next, and then right after that at 9 o'clock in the main show, we've got the great Chick Donovan. So I think the champion of the 30 is Dan from Dan and Benny in the Ring. So we'll see you guys soon. Love you all. See you at 9.